Hi, I'm Adam from Watford Opinions, and I am here to talk about a bit of a preview for the Man United match in the FA Cup, but a lot more on the current state of the club and including Ben Foster's YouTube channel. So I'll start with that I write in. Obviously, there's been a lot of controversy at the club as of late, sacking Vladimir Ivic, appointing Xisco Munoz. Things started looking really good after his first match in charge, but the recent defeat at Swansea has definitely changed the attitude once again surrounding the club. And one of the main talking points, surprisingly, unsurprisingly, depending on how you see it, is Ben Foster's YouTube channel. I've seen on Twitter, obviously Twitter's a very interesting place. Sometimes the least popular opinions and most reckless opinions are the ones that have the greatest voice. But I've seen a lot of people saying that Foster should stop the YouTube account or stop focusing on it so much, and that it's posing a distraction to the club. Because especially the way the club is right now, I mean, the aim is promotion, automatic promotion. Nothing else will be considered successful. So the fact that people see that we have players that are focusing on YouTube and other things, and Dini's on TalkSport, rather than just focusing on the club. Some people think the distractions kind of epitomize what's going on and are a reason for the current misgivings. And that's not to say they're not a distraction, because literally you have to take time to focus on them. Like, that's just part of life. You have to take time to do something. But I personally don't think much of any blame can be placed on Dini going on TalkSport or Ben Foster's YouTube channel. Yes, it kind of epitomizes how there's not the most focus on the club, but I don't see how those can directly be considered problems for what's going on. Because at the end of the day, I just kind of see those as scapegoats. Because how is putting a GoPro in his goal and filming a video that's not distracting him from training, that's not distracting him from tactics, actually changing performance? How is Ben Foster playing better or worse as a result of the GoPro? He's not, because at the end of the day, he's a professional player. He's not trying to create a highlight reel. He has a GoPro in the net, and he's a professional, so he knows how to clear that out of his mind during the match. He's not always looking back at his GoPro. He picks it up at halftime and walks it to the other side because he remembers it, but his performance isn't faltering because of his GoPro. And I personally think that the bigger issues surrounding the club, which include, I guess we might as well get into it, the instability in terms of not knowing who the manager is going to be, complacency, the feeling that Watford should be getting promoted and that sometimes matches are going to be a walk in the park when they're clearly not going to be. There's definitely been some injuries, but again, it's hard to blame it on that. There's been a lack of goals up front. The strike pairings or combinations haven't been working this season. But those are all actual reasons for a lack of success. A YouTube channel where someone's giving joy to everyone, and when football's about, at the end of the day, it's about passion, desire, but there's also joy. Football's supposed to bring people joy, and especially during these trying times, Ben Foster isn't trying to distract himself. He's trying to give us stuff to be happy about. Maybe I've seen some people saying, well, he's just getting this as a foundation so he can have a YouTube career later in his life. And you know what? Maybe it is. But at the end of the day, he's getting hundreds of thousands of views and helping people have some fun and have some smiles during trying times. So I don't think he should stop it. I don't think it's posing a distraction. I think considering it to be one is more finding a scapegoat away from the actual problems at hand. With that being said, if it does become a distraction where like Ben Foster's form is seriously dipping, which it hasn't really been, he's made some errors, as all keepers do, and honestly, we've been spoiled with keepers for a long time when you think of it. There's not many clubs who have the same keeper. Well, we had Gomez for, 4 or 5 seasons uninterrupted, bar a few matches with Orestes Carnezis. But we've been spoiled with keepers, so when we see 1 or 2 errors, it's natural for us to feel inclined to call on the backup. And Bachmann would be a good keeper, not denying that. Bachmann is a very good keeper. He spent a really good loan spell on Kilmarnock, I think it was last season, and he did really well. So not to say Bachmann would be bad if he replaced Foster, but Foster making 1 or 2 mistakes, I mean, we shouldn't be saying, oh, he's made this mistake, it's because of his YouTube channel, it's time for him to go. No, I think the YouTube channel is something that's going to bring people joy. Yes, maybe a bit of a distraction, but it's not an actual reason for a lack of success or not making a save when he would have. In terms of Dini being on TalkSport, again, I mean, I'm not a fan of that when you're openly criticizing other footballers and kind of talking about inside stuff at the club. I'm not the biggest fan of that when it's like really down to like that management stuff, but again, at the end of the day, Dini's form isn't dropping because of that. He's not dropping because he's getting interviews. That's not a direct result of what's happening. And Stuff like that and blaming it on stuff like that is just finding scapegoats again for the actual problems at hand. The lack of stability in management, which gives the players an uncertainty on who's going to be their manager. It also gives the players a sense that if things aren't going well, we're not the issue. It's the managers. We don't have to change. The manager does. So there's kind of that type of complex created as well. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of it for my take on all the extracurricular stuff, I guess you can call it, that the players are engaging in, that it might not be the best. And maybe they'd be better off without it, but I don't see how it can be blamed for Watford's current position. Because at the end of the day, the 90 minutes plus added time you spend on the pitch is what decides it. Doing an interview here or there or filming a video is not going to actually affect your performance. That's just not how it works, unfortunately. It's not that drastic. It's not that deep, in my opinion. I can see how people feel otherwise, for sure. I'm not saying your opinion is invalidated, because I totally get the side of the argument where you say, well, maybe there is that part of his mind, or maybe his behavior's changed a bit, and maybe it's getting to his head and making him complacent. I can see that argument, but at the end of the day, I think we should trust the professionalism that an interview and YouTube video isn't what actually is changing for him. That just feels really far-fetched for me. And again, maybe Foster not tweeting or saying anything about the defeat, but then his first tweet after that being deciding whether I should include Jamal Lowe's celebration. Maybe that's not the most professional, but again, that's not actually changing what's happening on the pitch. That is just a hard argument to make, that, oh, he's tweeting this, and this is actually the reason for this. Does it epitomize what's going on? A bit. And maybe the perpetuation of it isn't the best, but it's still A means B, B means C, therefore A means C. I don't find it to be syllogistic behavior, honestly. The YouTube account to a lack of form, I just don't see it. And now on to the Manchester United match, the FA Cup match. I think all Watford fans are kind of prepared for the reality that it's going to be a tough match. A win cannot be expected at all. We won't be favorites, as we shouldn't be, against a big team that's in fine form. But that being said, I don't think Watford should put so much of a focus on the cup. I'd like to see us put a bit more and at least try, as opposed to what we did against like Newport, for example, because it's always nice to have a cup run. But, and even like Tranmere last year, it's like our promotion should have been, our aim should have been staying up last year, which is why we didn't put too much of a focus on the cup. But at the same time, it kind of felt like crashing out in the fashion we did it was so preventable and so avoidable. And like, why not keep a cup run going so you give some of your fringe players, but not necessarily your youth players, but your bench players a chance. So I think that's what we should try to do in the cup. I believe we'll see Philip Zinkernagel's debut. Just to touch on that signing, I think that is an absolutely outstanding signing, because it's hard to remember the last time Watford bought in a player who's just come off the back of such a prolific season, regardless of the league they're coming from. Now, that being said, the Elite Serie and the Norwegian League isn't the best league by any stretch of the imagination, but effectively averaging 2 goal contributions per game is out of this world, no matter what league you're in. So I think the Zinkernagel signing is really exciting. Whether that's a replacement for Sarr or not remains to be seen. I do think he'd actually be a decent replacement, if I had to be honest. But I don't think that necessarily means he is, because now we can do a 3-winger rotation, meaning the wingers will always be on 100%, or most of the time will be on 100% fitness. Because when we see Same and Sarr lacking, it's usually due to fitness levels. But now that you have a third quality starter in the rotation, they'll be at their best 100% of the time, almost 100% of the time. So I was very happy with that signing. We'll probably see his debut. João Pedro might make a return. He's been out for some time. Stipe Peretza, he did pick up an injury in training, which is why he wasn't included against Swansea. If he's healthy, he'll see some time. So this will be good for getting those players just on the brink of starting minutes, but not being consistently receiving them, the chance to shine. Manchester United, they'll probably do the same and give their fringe players, but not necessarily their youth players, just fringe players, like the last names on the bench, not the like last names in reserves, for example. They'll do the same, but obviously Manchester United's bench will probably be better than ours, as is just the nature of football and playing a big club. But yeah, it'll be exciting. What's going to be exciting to see is, firstly, how Zinkernagel performs if he plays, seeing how he'll fit in. But then again, the cup is always a chance for people to make statements. If Perica does really well, it might be the end of Andre Gray starting, even though that's an argument for a different time. Perica over Gray is a very common opinion that's been held. If I'm going to be honest, myself included, based on Gray's current COVID decisions and his lack of production in front of the net. I still do think Gray has the talent in him, but with everything going on right now, I just don't see how. I don't see why Perica isn't starting instead of him. Perica hasn't seemed to put a foot wrong, and he's just been unfortunate with injuries. So yeah, the Cup's gonna be interesting to see how Zinkernagel is settling in. I don't think we'll sign anyone new that's going to be able to play until then. But it's also going to be interesting to see what the fitness levels of these fringe players are, who's going to make a name for themselves, and who's going to prove to Xisco that they are the right man and that they should be starting. That maybe, I don't know, maybe that Garner will prove why he should be the one that's going to replace Capu. Or Chalobah, if he plays, I don't know if he's going to play, will be like, no, that's my spot. Mark Navarro, perhaps, he'll see minutes and he'll stake a claim. Well, get me in this rotation as well. I know Messina might be back, so Femenia and Ngaki can play on the right, but put me in this conversation as well. Get me some minutes. So it's going to be interesting to see in that lens. But unfortunately, the match is it's going to be tough to win, even if we put our full focus, even if we put our best lineup in. We'd all like to see a cup run. And we do have rest, so it's not like we technically couldn't afford to put our best players forward. But then again, it is a time to get people who wouldn't be getting minutes in the push for promotion, as that has to be the main focus. Promotion is the focus, not a run in the cup, as nice as that would be. As we see Brentford doing in the League Cup, it's like that's not detracting from their focus on promotion. And now they're in a semi-final, which is ridiculous. So it's not that it can't be attained, but if we beat Manchester United, then we'll have that conversation. If we beat Manchester United, hopefully the next draw won't be so tough. And if that's the case, then it's almost, why not make a run? Because once you're at that point, if you can ride the draw a bit, then you might as well go as far as you can. But I mean, as of now, the prospects aren't looking too bright. Not to say we can't do anything. We could definitely nab a result here and there. I mean, Man U have been playing really well, and as it seems to be the case with them, and not that it has to be, is that when it seems like things are settled and things are going well, something has to happen to kind of throw Ole's job at risk. So hopefully we can be that match where it's like things are going well in the league, but Ole's now got to consider his job again because he's just lost to Watford. Now, I don't think that's happened, and we can always have hope. That's not to say there is no hope, because, I mean, Bachmann and net isn't bad, and you look at our second squad, and it's not awful. So it really depends the team Man U fields, and you can't write anything off. We beat Spurs preseason in a decently competitive match where they probably played an FA Cup quality team. So we can't be written off completely. It's unlikely we'll get something from it. But if we win and then get a kind draw, then maybe we might as well ride the cup for some confidence and give those extra players minutes. But yeah, it's going to be a tough match, obviously. But I mean, we've beaten Man U before. Man U have had some unexpected losses as well, so you never know. And as we say, you can't write anyone off. The one thing football has always taught us year after year is that the unexpected is possible. It doesn't usually happen, but it's not to say it's impossible. So hopefully we'll get the opportunity to learn that again. It's unlikely, but it wouldn't be improbable if it were likely. So, and that's all from me. Yeah, so just basically to sum it up in terms of the off the field antics, the talk sport interviews, and the cycling GK videos, those definitely can be seen as distractions, but I don't think they should be used as scapegoats for what's going on. And the match against Manchester United, it's going to be tough, but it's exciting to see Zinkernagel's debut, and it'll just be exciting to be able to play a Premier League team again to really test the waters. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.